Welcome to the deep dive. We have a pretty powerful mission today. We're not just analyzing sources on Ifa, the ancient wisdom tradition from the Yoruba people. We're actually aiming to distill all that into a practical, teach-ready guide.
Exactly, like a spiritual syllabus.
Yeah, the IFA study guide is what we're calling it. And the focus is totally on self-cultivation.
Yeah.
Aligning with your destiny.
That's right. We're kind of stepping away from seeing Ifa just as, history or only religion. We're engineering a handbook for personal practice.
Right.
Because this tradition, it's huge. It's ethics, destiny, philosophy. But what jumps out from the sources again and again is how it pulls the focus inward, away from just looking outside yourself.
It really does. It seems to bypass a lot of the maybe complexities around Orisha and ancestors, at least initially.
Initially, yes.
And it zeroes in on this one core concept, the ultimate authority, the foundation of your power.
Absolutely. ORÍ, it's often translated maybe too simply as the inner head or personal destiny. But yeah, it's the key. Unlocks everything else.
And that quote we kept seeing, that's got to be our thesis for this whole deep dive.
Oh, definitely. No deity blesses a person without their ORÍ permitting it.
Wow.
The sources just hammer this home. If you want fulfillment, success, spiritual alignment, it starts and honestly ends with strengthening this internal divinity.
Okay, so let's unpack that internal divinity because, when people hear head, they think skull, brain.
Physical head, yeah.
But Ifa philosophy, it's much more nuanced.
Yeah.
So we need to clarify ORÍ right up front for this IFA guide. Because we're dealing with, three distinct facets that kind of dictate how we walk the path we chose.
Exactly. This is foundational. This is like module 1. We have to understand ORÍ as this tripartite spiritual reality walking with us, not just a metaphor. So first, you have ORÍ ɁODE, that's the physical head. The outer visible container, you could maybe correlate it with the conscious reasoning mind, how the world literally sees you.
Got it. The outside.
Then second, and this is maybe the most complex, the most vital, ORÍ INÚ.
The inner head.
The inner head, your soul, your spiritual double, some call it. It's the seat of your personal divinity, your consciousness, your conscience.
So like personality?
Personality, yeah, but also your unique character, your moral compass, your passions, your talents, even things like guilt. That all resides in ORÍ INÚ. It's your inner pilot.
Okay, inner pilot. I like that. And the third part?
The third is Iwapele. That's your chosen destiny.
Chosen destiny. So the path itself.
It's the blueprint, the pre-birth contract, essentially. Before you come into the world, the teaching is you kneel before Olodumare, the supreme being, and you select your life path, the purpose you intend to follow.
Okay, I want to pause on that. Iwapele. It's not fate just slapped onto us.
No, it's a choice.
We actively choose it. But the sources use this really interesting analogy, like choosing a mystery gift or a raffle ticket.
Yeah, that's a great analogy they use.
If we chose it, how do we then forget the choice when we get here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? That's the core existential tension in Ifa. You choose the destination, the ultimate outcome or purpose.
Okay.
But the specifics, the trials, the exact disposition you'll need for the journey, those details get sealed. It becomes a mystery gift. You forget the step-by-step, but the potential, the contract, is sealed within you.
So you know the what, but not the how.
Kind of. And the reason people struggle, the sources say, is summed up in that proverb. The world tests the metal you chose.
Right. So the challenge isn't that the universe messed up our path.
Yeah.
It's that our personality, our ORÍ INÚ, the inner self, that gets shaped by life, experiences, maybe trauma.
Exactly.
That inner self might not be strong enough or aligned enough to actually handle the path that we're Iwapele that we picked out before we were born.
Precisely. That's why they talk about people failing to launch.
Ah, okay. The inner character doesn't match the trajectory needed.
Doesn't match. And this brings us right back to why ORÍ is the ultimate authority. Because unlike, say, the Orisha or the ancestors who have, huge communities, lots of people to attend to,
right,
your ORÍ is solely devoted to you. It's the only divinity that walks with you from your first breath to your last without ever turning back. It's always there.
That makes that other proverb, the one about throwing away every other divinity before throwing away your ORÍ.
Yeah.
That makes it sound less like, hyperbole, more like a statement of radical self-reliance.
It is radical self-reliance.
Yeah.
It's absolute sovereignty and personal responsibility.
Right.
And because that sovereignty isn't passive, it requires intentional effort, the sources lay out this really clear progression for cultivating it, based on those 5 stages of awareness from Fela Sawande.
Right, the scholar.
Yeah. These are perfect milestones for our IFA study guide user. Helps them see where they are.
Okay, let's define those stages. Cultivating consciousness towards ORÍ. So someone using the guide can figure out, okay, this is where I am, this is where I'm heading.
Perfect. So, stage 1, recognition. This is the ground floor. You merely recognize the idea of ORÍ, maybe as a cultural fact, a philosophical concept.
I'm like knowing the word exists.
Exactly, but there's zero active participation. People might use phrases in Yoruba like, oh, my ORÍ is good today, but it's casual. There's no conscious awareness of the spiritual power it actually holds. It's just intellectual acknowledgement, no lived reality.
Got it. Step 1, just knowing about it. What's stage 2?
Stage 2, awareness. Now you're leaping into active, intentional participation. You start doing simple, direct things for your ORÍ, making small offerings or sacrifices to it.
Okay, like what?
The most common example cited again and again is that simple ritual of anointing your head with cool water. While you're consciously asking your ORÍ to be calm, to be relaxed, ORÍ mi tutu, may my head be cool, this is the first active acknowledgement that your ORÍ needs nurturing. Consciousness moves from just the intellect to the physical act.
Simple, but intentional. Okay, stage 3.
Stage 3, alignment. By this stage, the person is usually starting to see some tangible results, maybe material well-being, some success. They're connecting more with their spiritual self. But often, it's still kind of mediated, often achieved vicariously through regular divination.
Vicariously, what do you mean?
Well, the relationship can still be a bit transactional, like a barter system. I do this ritual, I make this sacrifice so that I get this specific outcome.
Okay, there's still a separation.
There's still a distance between the seeker and the spiritual self they're trying to connect with.
Okay, and then the jump from that transactional stage, stage 3 to stage 4, which the sources describe as ORÍ becoming like an intimate friend, that sounds like a huge shift. Psychologically, spiritually.
It is a massive shift. And the sources suggest this is where the real soreness of growth happens. Yeah, like working out a muscle you haven't used. Moving from stage 3 to 4 means dismantling the ego that still sees the self as separate from the destiny.
Okay.
If I'm transactional, I'm saying, I'll do X so my ORÍ gives me Y. In stage 4, you start to realize you are your ORÍ in action. There's no separation.
Wow. Okay. So stage 4 is?
Stage 4, self-identification. Here, ORÍ becomes real, not just a concept, but an intimate, trusted friend. The person starts to see the world, make decisions, really navigate life through the eyes of their ORÍ.
Like intuition becoming primary guidance.
Very much so. It's a unification. The ORÍ INÚ, the inner self, aligns fully with the ORÍ, the chosen path. Dedicated practitioners, IFA priests, priestesses, people who've spent decades training, they often reach this deep sense of oneness, where self-doubt gets replaced by deep self-trust.
That's profound. And the final stage? Stage 5.
The 5th stage mentioned is reincarnation, or Ikoside. This is the whole process of the spirit returning to Earth. Okay.
And the idea is that the new person, the new body, is tested based on the deeds and the spiritual maturity they reached in previous lifetimes. It confirms that this whole Earth journey is like a training ground.
For spiritual development.
Exactly. A continuous effort to align the self we become with the destiny we chose.
That really reframes everything. We're not just waiting for a savior or something.
Not at all.
We're actively training for our next spiritual cycle.
Wow. Okay, this focus on lifelong intentional training, it leads perfectly into the practical stuff. The IZAVE daily cultivation model. What are the simple but profound daily steps someone can take to actually build and maintain this connection with their ORÍ?
Well, the absolute first step, the bedrock, is a deep mindset shift.
Okay.
The sources really emphasize moving away from what they call the savior mentality.
Savior mentality.
Yeah, like always waiting for an Orisha or an ancestor or some external force to jump in and fix a problem that often you created yourself through misalignment.
Right, taking responsibility.
Absolute conscious responsibility. You have to center your own power. There's a great point one scholar made. People often ask, who is my head Orisha? When maybe the better question is, how do I properly serve the head I already have?
Ooh, that's good. Become your own center of gravity. Okay, so what's the first most foundational daily practice? The first tool in the IZAVE kit?
It's the power of the spoken word. Affirmation, prayer, chanting out loud.
Out loud specifically.
Crucial. And the sources explain why. It's not just so the divine hears you. It's so you hear you. You are literally programming your own internal software, reinforcing positive destiny alignment through sound vibration hitting your own ears.
Self-programming. That's powerful, especially considering how much negative self-talk or external negativity we absorb daily.
Exactly, reversing the script.
So what's a simple affirmation we can put in the guide? Something concrete.
The sources offer a beautiful, simple one for a morning greeting. Just acknowledging yourself. My Eri is powerful. My Eri is good. I give thanks for my Eri, and I pray for it to lead me well.
Simple, powerful.
And it has to be verbal, said out loud, programming your mind before the day's chaos potentially throws you off course.
It really flips the script, doesn't it? We spend so much time programming ourselves with worry or doubt. This practice consciously reverses that self-diminishment. And there was that specific chant, too, from an ODU that emphasizes the immediate payoff of this daily focus.
Yes. That chant reinforces the direct link. Self-effort equals outcome. It goes something like, when I wake up early in the morning and I give honor to my Eri, I'm the one who's going to meet with all good things today and tomorrow.
So the good things aren't random luck.
No. They're the result of the personal effort you put into cultivating your Eri right now, today.
Okay, so verbal affirmation is key. Beyond that, we move to the physical. These daily rituals tied to coolness and moisture. Why is physical coolness so important for spiritual alignment in IFA?
Well, a lot of spiritual problems or imbalances are described in the tradition as being hot in the head.
Hot-headed, like literally.
Literally and figuratively. It signifies impatience, agitation, reacting too quickly, being spiritually off balance. So coolness, the Yoruba word, is tutu, is synonymous with patience, peace, calm.
Ah, okay.
So that simple ritual, putting cool water on the crown of your head while saying, Eri mitutu, may my Eri be cool, it's an active micro-ritual, a physical way to cultivate patience and reduce that internal unproductive heat.
A daily reset. And this brings up the language point again, which is crucial for the guide.
Yes.
The word Eri for the head, the destiny.
Yes.
It sounds like, but isn't exactly the same as Eri, the substance.
Exactly. Critical point. Yoruba is tonal. The pitch changes the meaning. So Eri, with specific tones for destiny head, is very close to the word for shea butter, which is also sometimes called ereri, with different tones.
Shea butter. Okay, why shea butter?
Shea butter is seen as this ideal substance. It's cooling, smoothing, reduces friction.
Right.
So applying just a tiny dab of shea butter. Traditionally, the 4 cardinal points of the head, maybe the navel, palms of the hands, soles of the feet, it's like oiling down the self, promoting smoothness, reducing friction in your physical and spiritual journey, helping things flow easily.
Like literally smoothing the path.
In a sense, yes. Physically reinforcing the idea of ease and flow.
Okay, so we establish ease through verbal programming and physical coolness rituals. Now, the second part of our model, ADJSD. You mentioned cultivating Eri involves soreness. How does someone using this guide tell the difference between, healthy spiritual growing pains and actual danger or serious misalignment?
That's a really important distinction. We have to trust that muscle analogy.
Okay.
Growth requires discomfort. If you start a new spiritual practice or deepen an existing one and you feel some, soreness, maybe confusion, maybe old beliefs getting shaken up, that's likely positive.
It means something's happening.
Something's happening. You're stretching. You're being reborn in a way. And that's inherently uncomfortable. The sources actually warn, if you're too comfortable in your spiritual practice, you're probably not growing. You're stagnating.
Okay, comfort isn't the goal. But what if the discomfort is prolonged or feels destructive, leads to negative life consequences?
Yeah.
That sounds like misalignment.
That's the danger zone. And that's where divination, getting an IFA reading, becomes the primary navigation tool.
The diagnostic check.
Exactly. It's the diagnostic report for your soul's alignment. A reading checks how all your ORÍ components are working together. Your head, reasoning, your gut, intuition, your ORÍ INÚ, even the ORÍ of your feet and hands, your actions, your work in the world.
So it checks the whole system.
The whole system. Is it aligned? Are your current actions, thoughts, relationships keeping you on your chosen path, your Iwapele? Or is something off? Does action need to be taken?
And the reading itself, the power is limited, right?
Yeah.
It's advice, not like a command from on high.
Absolutely fundamental. This is core to IFA ethics and personal responsibility. IFA readings are advice, strictly advice. They are not declarations or orders that take away your free will.
Okay.
The structure of the Atan, the sacred stories within the ODU, proves this constantly. The pattern is always, the person was advised to do X. They either complied or they didn't, and the outcome followed directly from their choice.
You can't escape personal choice.
Never. The Babalawo, the priest, gives you the map, maybe points out the potholes. But you still have to drive the car. You make the turns.
Okay. That makes sense. So if this path is challenging and the ecosystem itself is so, well, structurally rigorous. Let's shift gears now. Let's talk about the system itself. Section 3, structure and focus. Because the sources argue IFA is way more than just a wisdom tradition. It's presented as a comprehensive science.
Yeah, this is a major intellectual point pushed by scholars like Dr. Tunde Adegbola, Professor Sophie Olawole. They argue IFA should be recognized as this incredibly sophisticated scientific and philosophical system. It contains religion, sure, but it's not just religion. It's more like a unified field theory of knowledge.
A unified field theory.
Yeah. There was even a Baptist pastor back in '87 who sort of conceded this. He said, IFA isn't just philosophy, but it contains philosophy. It's not just science, but it contains science. But at this level of comprehensive wholeness that modern Western thought kind of lost when it broke everything down.
Into separate boxes, physics here, chemistry there.
Exactly. IFA kept it integrated.
Okay, let's get into that structure then. The sources talk about IFA being built on binary mathematics. How does that actually work? And why is the Yoruba understanding of binary maybe different from, say, Western computer code or Pythagorean ideas?
Okay, the system is fundamentally binary, 0 and 1, basically.
Okay.
These are represented in divination by 2 core marks or signs, a single vertical line that generally represents expansion, openness, life, positive, yes, and a double vertical line, 2 strokes, representing contraction, closure, maybe challenge, negative, no. When the diviner casts the tools, they generate a sequence of 8 of these single or double lines.
8 marks in a row.
8 positions, yeah. Each position gets either a single or double line, and the combination of those 8 marks creates one of the 256 unique configurations or signatures called ODU. That's the basis of the entire corpus.
So 256 chapters based on 8 pairs of marks? Yeah. That defines the whole knowledge system.
That's the framework, yes. But here's the key philosophical difference you asked about. In Yoruba thought, these binaries, positive, negative, expansion, contraction, life, death, they aren't seen as locked in eternal opposition, like good versus evil in some systems.
Okay, how are they seen then?
As inseparable and complementary. Necessary parts of a whole. Think about it. You can't have the head of a coin without tail, right? You can't have a front without a back. You can't really appreciate a positive outcome unless you've navigated some kind of negative challenge. Western thought often tends to separate these. Good over here, evil over there. IFA integrates them. It teaches the practitioner how to maintain balance between these natural, inseparable forces.
Balance, not elimination.
Exactly. And that holistic approach, keeping everything connected, is why some scholars call IFA the queen of all sciences. It didn't fragment knowledge into physics, chemistry, history, psychology. It kept them all unified under the umbrella of philosophy, which informs how you live.
Wow. Okay, and all this complex whole knowledge,
yeah,
it's packaged in the ODU corpus.
Yeah.
How is that information actually structured for someone trying to learn it?
Right. So the corpus has those 256 sacred chapters, the ODU. And within each ODU, there are hundreds, sometimes thousands of verses called itan. Atan. These are essentially oral poems, parables, case studies, historical accounts, all passed down orally for generations. A Babalawo, an Ifa priest, spends years, often decades, memorizing thousands of these verses.
Just memorizing.
Well, that's the first step. But the sources are really insistent here. The goal isn't just rote memorization like a robot.
Okay.
The purpose is to learn the deep ethical lessons, the wisdom embedded in the Atan, and then know how and when to apply that wisdom to real-life situations, usually guided by divination. The wisdom is in the application, not just the recall.
Application. Okay. So to make this practical for our ISVE guide, we need to bring some of those ethical case studies, those OTAN lessons, to life, give people a feel for them.
Definitely. These stories are what ground the abstract philosophy in relatable human morality. They're like spiritual case law.
Okay, give us an example. The sources mentioned one about a tortoise.
Ah, yes. The classic tale of the tortoise stealing yams. Very common teaching story.
Tell us that one. What's the core lesson?
Okay, so the tortoise, who in many Yoruba stories represents cleverness but also unchecked greed, he decides to steal yams from the farm of the gods, or sometimes just a powerful figure. But he's not content with taking just one or two, what he needs. No, his greed takes over. He tries to haul away this ridiculously huge pile of yams, ties them all to his back.
Oh, boy.
And because he took far, far more than he needed, way more than his ORÍ could actually support or carry, he gets stuck. He can't move. He's caught red-handed and publicly shamed.
So the lesson.
The ethical lesson for our guide is beautifully simple, yet profound. Greed leads to trouble. Take only what you need. Know your measure. The failure wasn't the initial hunger. It was the complete lack of humility and proportion. Overreach.
A powerful warning against excess. Okay, what about the one involving promises? Oloronbi.
Ah, yes, the story of Oloronbi and the Iroko tree. This one is beautiful, but also a bit cautionary.
Okay.
Oloronbi desperately wants children. She goes to the sacred Iroko tree spirit and makes a vow. If you bless me with a child, I will give you my firstborn in return.
Whoa, heavy promise.
Huge promise. The tree grants her wish. She has a beautiful child. And then life gets good. She gets comfortable, maybe a bit arrogant in her success. And she conveniently forgets the promise she made in her desperation.
Oh.
Years pass. The tree spirit comes to collect. Oloronbi is terrified, tries to offer substitutes, goats, cloth, money, but the spirit only wants what was promised.
What happens?
The story has different endings, but often she is eventually saved or shown mercy, not because she deserved it based on the broken promise, but because of some other act of kindness or good character she displayed later, perhaps towards a stranger.
Ah, okay. So the lesson there.
It's twofold, really. First, obviously, keep your promises, your word has power and consequences, but also second, mercy can follow kindness. Your overall good character can sometimes create mitigating circumstances, offering a path to redemption even when you've messed up.
Character matters, even in correcting mistakes.
Okay,
one more. The one about the slave.
Right, the Atan of the slave who ate from the mortar. This one cuts right through pretense and social status.
How so?
A wealthy chief, maybe feeling overly proud or wanting to show off, decides to dress one of his slaves in the finest silks, gives him privileges, treats him almost like a son. The chief seems to believe that changing the outward appearance, the clothes, and status can fundamentally change the man.
Trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear kind of thing?
Kinda, yeah. But the slave, despite the fine clothes and new treatment, is still driven by his old habits, his ingrained sense of lack, maybe low self-worth. Late one night, he sneaks into the kitchen, and he's found scraping the bits of leftover food straight to the bottom of the big communal grinding mortar like he used to do.
Oh, wow. Exposed.
Completely exposed. Despite the fancy clothes, his underlying character, his ORÍ INÚ, revealed itself. The lesson is stark. Character is what's real. Not clothes, not titles, not outward appearances. You can change the externals all you want, but if the inner self, the ORÍ INÚ, hasn't been cultivated, hasn't been elevated, it will eventually betray the facade.
Deep. Okay, all these stories, these lessons, they seem to be building towards the absolute ethical core of IFA practice, which the sources name as Iwapele.
Yes, absolutely central.
So let's detail that. Let's map out the ethics ladder that guides a practitioner's focus. Because without this, the Izaigai guide, all the rituals, they're basically useless.
Completely useless. Iwapele, good character, is step one, rung one, and frankly, the entire ladder.
Good character. What does that encompass specifically?
It's a constellation of virtues, but the core ones mentioned repeatedly are patience, honesty, humility, gentleness, respect, integrity. The foundational proverb is hohoa,
Which means?
character is beauty. True beauty resides in good character, and the teaching is blunt. Without Iwapele, no ritual works, no prayer is effective, no sacrifice is accepted. If your character is flawed, if you're fundamentally dishonest, greedy, impatient, arrogant, you cannot align with your higher destiny. You're working against yourself.
So character isn't just nice to have, it's the prerequisite for any spiritual progress.
It is the progress in many ways. Okay, so if Iwapele is the foundation, what's the next step up the ladder, according to the sources? The progression seems to move inward first, then outward into action. So after establishing the intention for good character, the second step is umlara, feeling.
Feeling, like emotions.
More like empathy, developing genuine empathy, sensitivity. It's not just knowing intellectually that stealing is wrong. It's being able to truly feel the impact your actions have on others and on yourself. It's about activating your conscience, developing spiritual sensitivity, making sure you're not just going through the motions.
Okay, character, then empathy. What's third?
Third is knowledge. This is where the active study comes in. Learning the Odu, understanding the parables, the Atan, listening to and learning from qualified elders, gaining the intellectual framework. But notice, this knowledge comes after character and empathy are prioritized. Knowledge without character can be dangerous.
Right. Knowledge needs wisdom.
Exactly, and that leads to the fourth and final rung, which is inlo, practice.
Practice. Putting it all together.
Yes. This is the culmination. It's about living the lessons daily, serving the community, consistently embodying Iwapele in your actions, your work, your relationships. This is how the chosen destiny, ORÍ ÂDE, is actually fulfilled through consistent, ethical action, driven by good character, and informed by knowledge and empathy.
Voila. That's a really clear pathway. Character, feeling, knowledge, practice. Okay, that structural path defines the system. Let's move into section 4 now. Ethical engagement and the necessary energy required for this study path. And we have to start by clarifying UBA. It's a word people hear a lot, often misunderstood, especially in the West.
Hugely misunderstood.
No.
OBUT, which is the prescribed action or offering that often comes out of divination.
Yeah.
It's almost always translated as sacrifice in a negative sense, or even bribery.
Right, like paying off spirits.
Exactly. And that's generally wrong. Its true function, according to the sources, is restoration.
Restoration.
Restoring balance between the physical world and the spiritual world, between different energies. It might be about paying a spiritual debt, maybe to nature for something taken, or expressing profound gratitude. It's generally not about appeasing some inherently evil spirit just to make it go away. It's about correcting an imbalance that's causing problems.
Okay, so if someone's having constant bad luck, the divination might prescribe an up, but it's not a bribe to the bad luck spirit.
No. It's an action designed to correct the underlying energetic imbalance that allowed the bad luck to manifest in the first place. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It shifts the focus from appeasement to correction. So what forms can this restorative action, this UPA, actually take? It's not always animal sacrifice, right?
Oh, definitely not. The forms range really widely depending on the specific ODU that comes up and the nature of the imbalance. It could be adimu, which are simple food offerings, fruit, honey, cooked beans, water, often acts of gratitude or simple appeasement, sometimes shared. Then there's abatje, which does involve animal sacrifice. But this is highly ritualized, and crucially, the sources emphasize the meat is then shared with the community. It becomes a communal feast, a blessing shared, not some dark, secretive, individual act.
Important distinction. Community sharing.
Very. There's also apese, which are specific offerings, often to appease particular, maybe chaotic or neglected, energies in the environment or cosmos, sometimes referred to as the ejigan or warriors against humankind, but it's complex.
Okay.
But honestly, the most crucial, most powerful form of UPA, emphasized over and over in the ethical teachings, is behavioral change.
Changing yourself is the offering.
It is the offering. If divination reveals that your own flawed thinking, your own negative character traits, say chronic impatience or dishonesty or stinginess, is the root cause of the imbalance, then your prescribed UPA isn't just an external object. It's mandatory, documented, and often community-verified behavioral correction. You have to actively work to change that pattern in yourself.
Wow. Okay, give me an example of that, a behavioral but.
Okay, say the reading clearly shows that your biggest obstacle is extreme selfishness, or maybe pathological stinginess. Your butt might not be giving a goat. It might be. You must perform documented, non-anonymous acts of charity or community service every single week for 6 months or a year.
Documented.
Yes, you might have to report back to the priest or the community elders. The goal is to break the internal emotional and intellectual pattern of stinginess. It forces you to address the root cause in your ORÍ INÚ, not just put a Band-Aid on the symptom with an external offering. That's deep work.
That is deep work. Okay, now since this is clearly a tradition that relies heavily on community, oral transmission, really complex knowledge, the learner using our IFA guide absolutely needs trusted guides.
Right.
That's right.
Essential.
So who are the qualified teachers? Who provides this knowledge authentically?
Okay, we need to distinguish the roles carefully. Primarily for Ifa-specific guidance, you're looking for a babalawo, which means father of secrets, or an Iyanifa, mother of secrets, sometimes called Iyanifa.
Babalawo and Iyanifa.
Yes. These are the priests and priestesses specifically initiated and trained in Ifa divination, the deep study of the 256 Odu, the interpretation of Atan, and the complex ethics and procedures of prescribing Obo. Their training is incredibly long and rigorous.
How long?
Easily 5 years minimum, often 10, 15, 20 years or even more. Living and studying full-time as an apprentice under established elders. It's a lifetime commitment.
Wow. Okay. And how do they differ from, say, Babaloria or Ayularia? People hear those terms too.
Good question. A Babaloria, father of Orisha, or Ailioria, mother of Orisha, is a priest or priestess initiated to and dedicated to serving a specific Orisha like Un, the river deity, or Akango, the thunder deity. They hold vital roles in ceremonies, healing, and community life related to that specific Orisha.
Okay.
While they're absolutely integral to the broader spiritual system, the Babalawo and Ifa are the specialists in the overarching Ifa divination system, the vast philosophical library of the Odu, and matters of destiny alignment. The training demands and knowledge focus are distinct.
Got it. Specialists in the IFA system itself. Okay, so for someone using our IFA guide, wanting to perhaps eventually connect with an elder, navigating this landscape ethically is crucial. How do they protect themselves? The sources specifically warn about manipulation and scams targeting newcomers.
Yes, ethical vetting is paramount. Because unfortunately, like in any profession, any spiritual path, there are bad actors. Scammers prey on people's desperation, their impatience, their lack of knowledge, the very things IFA aims to heal.
So what are the warnings? The red flags?
The sources provide some clear red flags to watch out for. Our guide needs to list these bluntly.
Unsolicited readings or contact. A legitimate Babalawo or Yananifa will never cold call you, DM you online out of the blue, or approach you unsolicited offering an emergency reading saying you're cursed. That it's pure fear-mongering and manipulation. You seek them out, usually through trusted community referrals.
Okay, no cold calls. What else?
Number 2, intense pressure and lack of fee transparency. Beware of anyone putting immense pressure on you to pay large sums immediately. Or being completely vague about costs, just pay what the spirits tell you. Or fees that suddenly skyrocket. Professionalism includes transparency about reasonable consultation fees and the cost of materials for explained up front. Opula includes honesty in dealings.
Makes sense. Pressure and vagueness are bad signs. Third.
Number 3, manipulation of the divination message for personal gain. This is a serious ethical breach. If a priest twists the message from the Odu to benefit themselves, for example, suggesting you need to marry them, demanding sexual favors as part of a cleansing, or grossly inflating the cost of an way beyond reason that's not Ifa, that's abuse of power, you walk away immediately.
Right. The message should be for the client's benefit, not the priest's.
Always. And number 4, demanding the impossible or destructive actions. If a reading leads to advice that seems utterly destructive or nonsensical, like demanding you sell your house overnight, empty your entire bank account, abandon your children, or perform acts that are clearly illegal or harmful, your internal alarm bells must go off. Ifa seeks balance and betterment, not destruction based on fear.
Okay, those are clear red flags. Unsolicited contact, pressure opacity, self-serving messages, destructive demands. And this brings us back really to the ultimate protection, the core of this whole deep dive, isn't it?
It really is. It always comes back to your ORÍ INÚ, your own inner compass, your intuition, your good black sense, as some elders might put it.
Trust yourself first.
Ifa teaches that you must trust your own inner knowing before placing blind faith in any external guide. Your intuition is your first, fastest, and often most reliable divination tool. If something feels fundamentally wrong in your gut, if it feels dangerous, exploitative, or just off, you must listen to that feeling. Regardless of the priest's title, reputation, or apparent charisma, your ORÍ knows.
Trust your ORÍ. Okay. That feels like it completes the core methodology of the IFA guide. It's this beautiful cycle, deep philosophy, practical daily steps, ethical structure, and ultimately radical self-reliance guided by your own inner divinity.
That's the heart of it.
So to wrap this up and make it a truly usable study guide, let's quickly outline the essential appendix content we need to include. Drawing only from the source material for accuracy, of course.
Right. To empower the independent learner, the appendix needs some solid technical tools. First, absolutely essential, a glossary and pronunciation guide.
Because the Yoruba words matter.
They matter immensely, and accurate pronunciation is non-negotiable because, as we said, it's a tonal language. High tone, mid-tone, low tone changes the meaning completely. We saw that with ORÍ Destiny versus ORÍ Shea Butter.
Right.
The guide needs to highlight the importance of the tonal marks, even as simplified, and specific letters people might not know, like O and the GB sound, and define key terms clearly. ORÍ, Orunmila, Odu, Iwapele, Igbo, Itan, etc.
Okay, glossary and pronunciation. What else?
Second, an Odu quick map. Just a basic reference chart listing the names of the 16 principal Odu, the Oju Odu, which are the foundational 16.
Yeah.
And maybe just mentioning that these combine to create the other 240 combinations, the Amalu.
A visual map.
Yeah. And we should also reference that point from the sources about how The Odu can sometimes be interpreted using astrological correspondences, linking them to the sun, moon, planets, seasons, which can give deeper context to the timing and energy of the advice within an Odu. Adds another layer for study.
Interesting. Okay. Then third.
Third, a daily rhythm card. Something practical, maybe printable. A one-page summary of that core daily practice we discussed.
The ease part.
Exactly. Honoring your area upon waking with that simple, powerful affirmation, maybe a prompt for brief reflection or gratitude in the evening. And crucially, a reminder to consciously focus on embodying one aspect of Iwapele: patience, honesty, humility throughout the day, integrating the philosophy into the actual rhythm of daily life.
Bringing it all together. Okay, so let's synthesize. What does this all mean? We started this deep dive with the mission of building a teach-ready handbook. And what we've unearthed, what we've synthesized from these sources is this. Well, it feels like a radical path to enlightenment, one that's fundamentally internal, deeply rigorous, and utterly dependent on personal character.
I think that's exactly right. The profound takeaway, the core message echoing through all the material, is that your real power in Ifa, your connection to the divine, lies in the constant intentional cultivation of your own character and your own inner head, your ORÍ.
Yeah.
That internal engine, that inner divinity, is ultimately presented as more powerful, more reliable, and certainly more consistently present for you than any external force, any ancestor, any deity. It reframes the human condition. We're not defined by original sin or inherent powerlessness. We're defined by this divine spark within, our ORÍ, that just needs to be consciously activated, polished, and aligned through intentional ethical practice. Empowering. So the ultimate synthesis, the anchor line for this whole deep dive derived straight from the sources, has to be that phrase. ORÍ chooses. Owa carries. Utan teaches.
Perfect summary. We choose our destiny. ORÍ chooses. Our character determines our ability to actually live it out, Uwa carries. And the sacred stories, the wisdom tradition, guide us on how to do it. Utan teaches.
Beautiful.
Indeed. And maybe for you, our listener, here's the provocative thought to carry forward from this deep dive. Ifa teaches that real spiritual strength, true alignment with your chosen destiny, requires navigating the uncomfortable soreness of growth. That stretching of old patterns, limiting beliefs, comfortable habits. Where in your life right now might you be avoiding that necessary discomfort? Avoiding the spiritual workout that precedes genuine strength and alignment? That place of discomfort, that might be exactly where your area is waiting for you to begin the real work.